anyone else to experience what it felt like to be so bright on the outside and so dark on the inside. And to have everything you can ever imagine in life, but be miserable. I didn't want that for anyone else, and I don't. So that's why I so am passionate about what I do, is I don't want anyone else to feel that way. But I have to go back to the fact that my identity is all in Him. I wouldn't be who I am if it were not for the fact that I'm created in His image. I am a unique masterpiece. So I go back to all of that, and I move my life forward from there. And we lose that identity so often of who we are in Him. And so that's what I go to. That's my go-to, is to know who you are in Him. And I am 100% about people loving themselves. I am 100% about you loving who you are, because if you don't love who you are, you can't fully love anybody else. And so I had to learn to love who I was, who He created me to be, and know that I'm enough.
What were the steps to take you there? Because I think loss of identity, especially with women, it's across the board, but we do lose our way. And I don't think it's rare to find that, everything looks happy and perfect on the outside, but you're unhappy inside. And sometimes we can't even put our finger on what that unhappiness or that miserable or that darkness is. Sometimes it's just like you said, you've lost yourself in some way. So it's not like, oh my goodness. I mean, sometimes we can. Sometimes it could be like, this happened in my life, and so I feel this way. But a lot of times, a lot of us are feeling that, and we can't really name why. So how do we go there, and how do we start to really find that love of ourselves so that we can shine that light back inside?
I had to listen to the things I said to myself. I had to listen to all the stories that I told myself. I was never going to measure up. I was not good enough. I would never amount to anything in my life. I was never going to be skinny enough. There were so many things that I was never going to be. Even though that was all stories that I had created in my own mind. It was a snippet of maybe a truth, but I had created this whole entire story that dictated my entire life. And I allowed that to determine everything I did. So I had to go back and listen to the words I said to myself, and listen to the words I said to other people about me, and really change that thought, really take that thought captive and really change that thought. And I did. I would take those thoughts captive, and I'd be like, no, that's not what Scripture says about me. That's not what you've told me. So that's not the truth. So I would go back to that. And then I owned my story. I had to admit all my flaws, all my failures, all my successes, and I had to own that. I had to know what my values were, what I stood for, because most people, if you ask them, they have no idea what their values are.
Yep.
No idea. Don't even know how to start. And so I had to identify my values, what really meant the most to me, and live from there. And then I had to learn to experience life in the fullest in that moment. And that comes down to love. Listen, own, value, experience. And I had to learn to love who I was, but also to allow other people to love me. Because of all the stories and lies that I had told myself, I had kept everyone out from loving me, including God. And I kept everybody at an arm's distance. So I had to open myself up just to really receive that love as well. Not just to give it, but to receive it. And that's what it comes down to. And love is the secret to life.